Matus meets Dora to apply for a job helping around her home. She lives alone and studies nature. Even though Matus has never done this kind of work before, she sees that he's willing to try, so she gives him the job. On his first day, he shows up early and ready. Before they begin, Dora makes him a big breakfast. As he sits down to eat, she explains the daily routine. Lunch at 1, dinner at 7. She says clearly that being late is not okay. Later, Matus asks if anyone else works there. Dora tells him no, she prefers to keep to herself and doesn't trust people easily. When he seems unsure about doing everything alone, she reminds him he promised to work hard. Everyone has their own way of doing things, she says. To calm his worries, she adds that a housekeeper named Nade comes once a week and might lend a hand. Then she tells him to look around and note anything that needs fixing. Before leaving, she asks for his work papers. He doesn't have them yet, so she tells him not to forget. Dora then gets back to her own tasks for the day. Thinking no one is around, Matus looks through some old photos connected to Dora's research. After that, he makes a quick phone call about the work paper she's been asking for. What he doesn't know is that Dora is watching him from her laptop, using the property's cameras. As he keeps going through her things, she watches quietly, thinking about what to do. When he tries to open a locked door outside, she finally calls him over. Matus says he was checking if repairs were needed. Dora doesn't seem convinced but doesn't press the issue. She tells him the locked place holds her late father's belongings and warns him not to go near it again. Before he leaves, she brings up the work paper once more. He says he still doesn't have it but promises to bring it soon. Later, Dora goes into the woods nearby. She hunts down a rabbit and carries it back to the locked space. The next morning, Matus shows up late. Dora isn't pleased. He quickly explains and finally hands over the document she's been waiting for. Nade arrives, and Dora introduces her to Matus. While Nade checks the oven, Dora explains what needs to be done. Matus is to get rid of her father's old clothes, and Nade will clean his room. Later, Dora speaks with her friend Jorge through a video call. He's worried about how slowly things are moving. She calmly tells him to be patient and to let her know if there's any news. As Matus goes through the clothes, he finds 2 receipts and quietly keeps them. He also comes across a folder and brings it to Dora. She casually asks if he read what was inside. Matus quickly says no, saying he wanted to respect her privacy. Noticing the books around, Matus shares that his mother believed people who love books make good bosses. Dora smiles and gives him one of her father's books. She proudly says it was one of his last, and talks about how it discusses the effects burial sites have on nature. That night, Dora burns her father's documents. On a bright day, while Dora is working in the garden, Matus comes over to tell her there's some damage to the house. He offers to help, but she gently turns him down, saying gardening helps her relax. He also brings up the music she played recently, guessing it's something she enjoys. When she asks if he likes it too, he says yes, joking that even someone like him can enjoy that kind of music. He says the piece she played felt different from others he's heard before. Dora tells Matus the music he heard was by an Italian violinist named Paganini. People were so amazed by his skill that some even thought he played a different instrument altogether. Before heading off, Matus mentions checking the sauna for damage, but quickly adds that he didn't use it. Dora laughs and tells him he's welcome to try it. Taking her advice, he gives it a go. Later, she walks by and spots him inside through the glass. He notices her looking and smiles, a bit surprised but amused. That night, as Dora prepares for bed, she thinks about Matus. The next morning, while sipping coffee, Matus sees Dora driving away. Thinking she's gone for a while, he sneaks into her room to look around. As he tries to access her computer, he suddenly sees her vehicle returning. He rushes out just in time. When she steps inside, he pretends to be concerned and asks why she's back. Dora says she forgot her wallet. She then brings up the sauna again. Matus admits he liked it and politely asks if he can use it another time. Dora agrees without hesitation. That evening, when Matus doesn't come for dinner, Dora becomes annoyed. She later takes a plate to his room and hears water running. Realizing he's in the bath, She uses the moment to check through his things, but stops as soon as she hears him finishing up. When Matthias steps out, Dora reminds him of the rule about mealtimes. He quickly apologizes. She stays quiet for a moment, watching him, then walks away. The next morning, Matthias finds a note in the kitchen. Dora writes that she'll be gone for most of the day and that Nate is supposed to come by, though she might be late. Seeing a chance, Matthias decides to search around again. To avoid being seen, he climbs up and disconnects a camera. Just then, Nate shows up earlier than expected and catches him. He quickly says he's fixing it. She doesn't look convinced but says nothing and walks off. Realizing he might get into trouble, Matthias reconnects the camera. Later, in the kitchen, they talk. Nate says money is tight, and she works another job. When Matthias asks how long she's worked for Dora, she says it's been some time. She also mentions hearing about a past worker but claims not to know much. Matthias pushes for more details, which makes her uneasy. He changes the subject and brings up the locked building, saying he wants to check for damage. Nate firmly says she doesn't have access and warns him not to do anything without Dora's okay. Meanwhile, Dora visits Jorge at his clinic to collect something she requested. Before handing it over, he explains who the man was and how he died. Dora worries Matthias might notice if she brings the body back with her. Jorge suggests telling him the truth, but Dora refuses. Instead, she asks if the body can be taken apart. Jorge is shocked and refuses, saying that's not something he can do. Instead, he shows her a hand from someone else unidentified and unclaimed, and says she can have it if no one comes looking. That afternoon, while Matthias brings in the groceries, Dora unexpectedly asks him to make dinner. He hesitates, saying he only knows how to cook basic meals. Both Dora and Nate tell him that's just fine, they prefer simple food anyway. With no other option, Matthias agrees. Nate seems excited for the meal, but Dora surprises her by suggesting she head home early. Before leaving, Nate quietly advises Dora to keep an eye on Matthias, mentioning his odd behavior near the security camera. That evening, Dora sets the table for two while Matthias cooks. When they finally eat, she compliments the food, and Matthias looks visibly relieved. During the meal, she takes the chance to ask more about him. Matthias says his father taught him how to manage household chores, which is why he felt ready for the job. He says they were close but doesn't go into detail. Noticing his discomfort, Dora shifts the topic to Nade's concern. Matthias repeats that he was just checking the camera to fix it. Dora doesn't seem fully sure, but she lets it go and reminds him to speak with her before doing anything like that again. After dinner, they sit with glasses of wine while soft music plays. Dora talks about the musician, how his life was filled with trouble and rumors, even claims that the church refused to bury him because of strange beliefs tied to his talent. While talking about the book Dora gave him, Matthias brings up Paganini again, wondering whatever happened to the musician's body. Dora says no one really knows, then suddenly shifts into a strong opinion about how buried bodies damage nature. Curious, Matthias asks if she had her father cremated. She replies that he was different from most people. He didn't believe in burials or cremation, saying both were bad for the planet. Realizing the topic has become very scientific, Dora pauses and apologizes. But Matthias tells her he's actually interested and wants to hear more. Encouraged, Dora speaks warmly about her father's passion for his work and his unusual views. When Matthias asks what kind of experiments he worked on, she avoids the question and says they'll talk about it another time. Later, Dora goes to her room but calls Matthias in. The tension between them finally takes over, and they end up together. Much later, when it seems she's asleep, Matthias quietly takes her keys and leaves the room. He doesn't realize that she's still awake and watching. He heads straight for the locked building. Inside, he finds shelves of lab tools and strange equipment. As he looks around, he stumbles upon something that stops him cold, a rotting body inside a container, giving off a sickening smell. Matthias sits quietly, shaken by what he found. Next morning, he barely eats and says he feels unwell. Dora calmly confronts him about entering the storehouse with her keys, which he doesn't deny. She demands the keys back. Later, Dora shows him the storehouse and explains it's part of a composting project using dead animals. Matthias asks if humans were ever used. She says no, it's illegal, but argues it's not much different from burial. Matthias says it feels wrong. Dora calls his view narrow and says she can't keep someone who judges her work. He apologizes, saying he's just trying to understand. She tells him she's explained enough and lets him return to work, but warns he's only there for now. In a video call, Jorge tells Dora the body isn't ready yet. She says Matthias knows about her composting, and Jorge praises her for having help. Dora insists the work is hers, not her father's, and ends the call. Later, Dora searches Matthias's name online but finds nothing, making her uneasy. In the garden, she shares her past, saying her parents died where Matthias now sits. She asks if he still thinks about his father. He denies it, but his face shows otherwise. Dora leads him to a spot by the brook, saying she learned there not to trust men. She asks if he has secrets. Surprised, Matthias admits he lied about his name to start fresh. Dora says the past doesn't matter, only what he will do now. Running out of time, Matthias crushes a sleeping pill and heads to Dora. While bathing, Dora sees a vision of her younger self. After she gets out, Matthias offers wine and says he's ready to trust her. She kisses him and goes to bed, unaware he slipped something in her drink. Matthias returns to the storehouse and finds a folder with his name, papers about human composting, and his father's ID. Shocked, he breaks down, realizing the truth about his father. The next morning, Dora wakes dizzy but feels better soon. In the kitchen, Matthias greets her coldly. When asked why he hasn't made coffee, he replies sarcastically. Annoyed, Dora orders him to make it. Matthias gets up but only brings juice, bread, and butter to the table. Dora senses something is wrong and gives him the day off, saying she'll teach him hunting when she returns. Nate arrives, and Dora quickly gives her tasks before leaving. Nate warns Matthias for entering the storehouse despite orders. Matthias asks about the previous caretaker, shows a photo of his father, but Nate dismisses it, saying his father likely left or started a new life. That afternoon, Dora takes Matthias hunting. Suddenly, he points a gun at her, demanding to know what happened to his father. Dora stays calm and says she doesn't remember, but the truth is darker than he thinks. Years ago, Matthias's father hurt Dora in the forest, but she won't admit it now. Matthias thinks his father found out about her and her father's human composting and accuses her of lying. Dora says she planned to tell him later, hoping he could help. Matthias calls the experiments wrong and accuses her of killing people. She mocks him as too innocent. Matthias tries to shoot, but the gun is empty. Dora points her rifle at him, but he stays calm. He says he sent evidence of the experiments to a friend in case something happens. His goal is to prove she killed his father. Dora then tells the truth. Matthias's father came drunk and hurt her. Her father didn't believe her. Dora says Matthias's father left on his own. She shows Matthias a fake resignation letter and tells him to leave by day's end. Frustrated, Matthias grabs the letter. As he reads, Dora stabs him from behind and holds him as he dies, whispering his father died the same way. That night, she takes his body to the storehouse, unlocks his phone, and tells his friend to ignore the papers. She prepares Matthias's body to be composted, like his father. The next day, Dora asks Nate to bring the next applicant for an interview and gives her flowers to sell. Nate is happy, while Dora quietly smiles at her garden's success.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.